Hello, good morning and welcome. This is Sunrise Daily. I'm Ayo Akande. Today is the 14th day in the month of August 2025 and it's a Thursday morning. It's your daily dose of sunshine. Yes, I've stolen that one away from you straight away, Kayla. But go ahead anyway.
I would like to make it clear that theft is a crime. But that intellectual property actually belongs to Mark. So we are all criminals in this regard. Thank you very much for being with us. Good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily. Wow. I'm Kayla Megwa, and indeed a lot has happened, you know, and we're seeing updates. You remember how this whole story started? And then I kept saying, listen, I think we should just learn to be calm in tense situations, you know. Now look at ripple effects. I was watching the morning brief. I was looking at her lawyer speaking up about Comfort Bob's lawyer speaking up, the man sitting next to her speaking up, and it's thrown up a lot of issues. But we'll talk about all of that and a whole lot more in a bit. But joining us right now, and I'm going to start off with these trending stories, some of the major stories that are making the rounds right now in the news. And joining us for that conversation is Mr. Akande, former presidential aide and presenter of Inside Sources. Thank you so much for being with us on the program.
Good morning. Good to see you again.
Good to see you again. Okay, well, the UN pin, what's happening? Are we going to the UN today?
It's just one of the bags that you use to...
I see. All right, so let's start off with the biggest story in the country, which is the release of Comfort Emerson from Kirikiri. We had a guest yesterday on the show who said this is not over. He said he doesn't think this is over. And I guess, what do you mean it's not over? I think I want the story to be over, but you know, he said it's not over. What do you make of it? Where we are right now in the conversation. Released. We heard from her lawyer this morning on the morning brief. We also heard from the passenger sitting next to her, and then these stories about this particular air hostess and her behavior with other passengers. Where are you on this matter?
Well, you know, the first thing is that we are acting as though we don't understand the implications, the full implications of what we are doing as a people. And this is a collective point of reflection for all of us. Everybody is taking sides here and there, and it reflects the fact that indeed the blames are spread. Now, what I consider to be the most significant in all of this is what the government does. My father used to tell me that you must always have a moral superiority if you are a leader, because the people that are in government, the people that are leading, okay, they are the ones that set the standard that others follow. So when you have government all within 1 week, and I'm talking of Mr. Festus Keyamo, by the way, all within 1 week said that, oh, this guy has done what is wrong, it's not acceptable, and according to the law and procedure, this person has to pay consequences. And within a week, the same minister is coming out to say, oh, where all sins are forgiven. And now, not only are all sins forgiven, guess what? You are the face that represents the best that we expect our people to be. That is just utterly disappointing. Utterly disappointing. With all due respect to Kwam, you know, and to government, you know, especially Mr. Festus Keyamo, this is the poorest way to inspire a people. To put it very starkly, this is completely behaving as if everything is just magic. This is like abracadabra. And you are wondering, is this actually happening to us as a people?
What should he have said differently?
No, the problem is that you cannot, within 1 week, met up punishment. Punishment has not been finished, and then you are saying that we have learned our lesson, and Kwam becomes the ambassador for protocol security in the airport.
So that shouldn't have happened.
There has to be time.
Okay.
Even though you know, I see the need to try and say that, well, look, this guy has shown penitence. You know, government officials are even saying that, oh, it is to hear is human. All of that is okay. But there is the time to do what is right. This may be a right thing down the road, But this is not the right thing now.
Okay.
You can't be shoveling down somebody who represented misbehavior, somebody who endangered a flight and everybody in it, and as a matter of fact, who almost breached national security. You can't say within 1 week the person is an ambassador for protocol and security in the airport. That's not done. That is the most important thing that has happened, and it is devastating to our psyche as a people. This is not how people in government ought to be behaving. This is not how people in government ought to be behaving. If you want to make him an ambassador, wait down the road. It's pretty too early in the game. It sends the wrong signals.
Okay. In the case of Comfort,
yeah,
there are reports out there. I don't think I can confirm them, but there are reports out there that she's also being looked at as someone that can be made an ambassador for Ibom Air or some kind of deal, you know, where she's a spokesperson or something. It's out there. There are headlines about it that is being mulled over. You also, how do you feel about that?
Well, you know, so the idea of finding people that have good behavior to get stuff done is a very good thing. But Kela, we have 200 million talented, successful, inspiring people, resilient people. There are a lot of better examples out there. And I'm not saying that anybody shouldn't be. But right now, when people have been involved in certain wrongdoing in the public space,
you don't reward bad behavior.
You don't give us the impression that you are rewarding bad behavior. Even if you want to scale down the punishment, you still give time to pass over. Kela, what do you think the young people, the 7-year-olds, 9 years old, 11-year-olds, what message do you think they are learning? What kind of mental observation are they making of all of this? It's terrible what we are doing to ourselves as a people. For whatever reasons that this is being done, it's poor judgment. It reflects poorly on our character as a people. And this is my worry.
Okay.
You know, so everybody has, you know, yes, of course, based on what we've seen, Comfort did something wrong, and then the people that also handled that then took it a notch higher. You know, also, you know, so there'll be a lot of wrongdoings. Government has to come and say, look, let's calm everybody down, and let's begin to sort this thing one by one. And Festus Keyamo started on a very good note. But this sudden turnaround to begin to say that, you know, Kwam is now an ambassador is pretty too early, to put it at the least. It's pretty too early.
Okay. I mean, it's been jarring. Like I mentioned in the beginning, our guest yesterday is a social commentator, Mr. Naji.
Right.
And he said, this is not over. Should this be over? If you had the ear of Comfort, for instance, would you tell her to pursue, because her dignity is in tatters.
Yeah.
And we're looking at a woman here.
Yeah. Well, you know, so
she's mentally not in a place where she can speak right now. At least that's what she said on her social media. She'll talk later.
Right.
But of course, as a woman, we're watching this and we know what happens when you're exposed like that. Whether you were in the wrong or in the right, you are in tatters, mentally, physically, your life, your family, all of that. Should she sue?
Well, you know, Kela, I want to speak to what all of us as a people, how this affects us, our commonwealth as one people. The way it affects us is that she misbehaved, the people who handled her misbehaved, and Mr. Festus Keyamo, as minister, is misbehaving. Kwam misbehaved. So that is how I see it. Now, everybody can then go as individuals to assert their rights. Yes, she does have a right, you know, to seek redress for the excessive way that she's been dealt with. It's like jungle justice, okay? You know, regardless of what anybody does, even if you catch a thief in the public place, you don't have a right to met out the judgment. There is a process. Now, she did not get the benefit of that process, so her rights were violated, even though people saw her, you know, did something that she shouldn't have done. But yes, it's not an excuse for our rights to be that trampled upon. So my point is that all of us must have a reflective approach. Everybody, even people involved, they must have a reflective approach to this matter. You know, and do what is right for ourselves as a nation. And individuals may have a right to pursue, to seek their own redress. But generally as a people, all these things that are happening does not reflect well on us. As passengers on the flight, it doesn't reflect very well. As airline, it doesn't reflect very well. Mr. Festus Keyamo behaving on the part of government does not reflect very well.
Okay.
Kwam does not reflect very well, although Kwam did apologize, but what he did. So this is what we should be concerned as a people that, look, everybody here has been behaving badly, especially our Minister for Aviation.
All right, let's move on to other topics. Right. We saw yesterday, after the Federal Executive Council meeting, they stopped 7 years ban on getting new universities. Right. Many people welcome this. There's a poll online right now, and I'm seeing that a lot of people are agreeing with that, because the schools that exist already, we're watching the quality of those schools and how they're able to meet up. And you heard the Minister of Education say yesterday, there's going to be some kind of assessment of how you meet up with the standards required for tertiary institutions. Right. And we don't believe that many schools will be able to meet up with those standards. Right. Talk to us a little bit about that situation, because I remember at some point when you were a presidential spokesperson, it was a rave, wasn't it? Everybody wanting to open up a tertiary institution. We even did a special report here on Channels TV where we went to particular schools that were considered tertiary institutions, but we're not running as tertiary institutions. Talk to us a little bit about that.
So we have to be very honest and frank with ourselves. The truth of the matter is that we got to a point where too many tertiary institutions we are getting this license, especially when, because, the right to private license, was a thing, and it became very political, and if you have a friend in government, and you had some money, and you had some good ideas, you also want to start your own school, so the whole thing became proliferated. So what the federal government has done is the right thing. And we have to be thankful, to the president and the Federal Executive Council, and especially the minister, for doing this. Look, you have universities where the number of staff at times exceed the numbers of students. It's ridiculous. So we must commend the federal government on this matter. This is like cleaning house. Now, what happens next is what we will pay attention to. Because if you look at it, it will seem to me, and we've had this discussion with the JAM professor, actually when, the JAM registrar, Professor Oloyede, when he came on Inside Sources, that look, what's really the thing? Do we need more universities, or we need to expand the resources and the capacities of existing one? It will seem to me, and that was his submission also, that maybe what we need to do is to actually expand the resources of the existing one to be able to take more people. Because a situation where you are having zero application, of people doing JAM to federal tertiary institutions, that just tells us that how did we even got to that point? So this is a very good one from the federal government, and we should all commend it.
The president is out of the country, or at least he's leaving today. Yeah, I think I'm sure he must have left by now.
I think he's going to leave. Yeah,
pretty soon he'll be out of 2 trips. Well, he's going to stop at Dubai first, and then of course the Brazil and Japan trips. He's traveling again, and these are trips that are supposed to put our interests as a country on the table in these meetings that he's going for. Right. Maybe you could speak to us a little bit about some of the summits, like the one that's happening in Japan is a summit that is pretty important for us here in Nigeria. Speak to us a little bit about these meetings that he has and what he should be bringing to the table or bringing back for us when he comes back from these trips.
Right. So the important thing about when a president visits is just to put a stamp, the highest stamp of authority in the country, trying to say that, look, I mean business. And I think what the president should be emphasizing, which is what he's been emphasizing for the most part in his foreign travels, is that, look, Nigeria is open for business. The business environment is improving. We are trying to build a $1 trillion economy. We want investors to come in. You can trade and make money in Nigeria. We want you to bring your factories to, look at what is happening with our studied mirrors. For the most part, what you have is the expatriates, as they call them. They come here, just take away the stuff and, you know, pay our people and then go and turn them into finished good, and then they are brought back to us. And we, you know, so we need factories here in Nigeria. We need assembly plants here in Nigeria. This is the kind of thing that we expect the president to be pushing in all of this economic diplomacy, which is what has become essential.
Just so the Nigerian people can get more details, he's going to stop over in Dubai,
Right.
United Arab Emirates, before proceeding to Japan. And in Japan, he'll attend the 9th Tokyo International City of Yokohama from August the 20th to August the 22nd. You know, and then after, you know, so that's the one that's, you know, that we're wondering what he's going to be bringing to the table for the Nigerian people. But in Brazil, he will hold a bilateral meeting with his host, and then attend a business forum with Brazilian investors.
Right.
So these are important engagements.
I think there's something good seems to be in the offering from Brazil. You remember that not too long ago, the president was in Brazil.
Yes.
You know, so hopefully we're going to have some very active economic relationship with Brazil. I remember that when President Buhari was there, you know, Brazil brought a lot of things on the table, and it seems that some of those things, especially in the area of agricultural processing, I think some of those things are beginning to germinate in a way that can help, especially the agri sector and several of our productive sectors. I think, all told, if we have a situation where where the president is able to bring in more foreign investment to Nigeria, to bring in more, I mean, the businesses situated here, the factories, you know, the agri processing centers, which, you know, a lot of them are springing up, especially with what AFDB is doing. We can begin to step up our game, especially in the area of agriculture and other productive zones. It's hopefully a good thing.
All right, time for my colleague in Lagos. I have a few questions for you. Ayo, go ahead.
Well, thank you, Kayla. Let me quickly see if we have Mr. Afamosigwe ready, if he's ready to join us in this conversation. Of course, some of us will remember Mr. Afamosigwe is chairman of Nigerian Bar Association. He joins us virtually from Enugu. Good morning this morning, Mr. Sigwe. Well, I want to believe that he will join us any moment now. But, you know, I wanted to quickly piggyback, Mr. Akande, on that issue of, you know, Kwam1 and all that we were talking about the other time. Checking online, a very, very quick check that. We find a situation, and I've heard a number of people talk about the fact that, you know, someone, you know, shows remorse and then we forgive immediately. Yeah, perhaps you're correct. A good number of people might align with you in that regard of whether or not we should have waited a while before that, because there have been cases of certain people, Hugh Grant and a number of other people in parts of the world who didn't serve time, but who showed remorse, and the people, let me just say, not just the government, that the people forgave them, but we'll perhaps come to that later. I understand that Mr. Afamosigwe is ready for us. Good morning. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you so very much. Good morning.
Yeah. Let's begin with that same issue. Well, it seems that the NBA is also interested in that matter of the aviation regulations and all. Can you talk to us, first of all, on what your take is as an individual and as president of the NBA, how it all went, the legal angles to it, the operational issues to it from your own perspective?
Now, our position was essentially driven by the fact that while the lady was quickly charged to court and remanded, and then a lot of blame was sought to be placed on her, people acted as if how she was treated in being dragged off the plane was not important. Her nudity exposed, the violation of her right to dignity of human person as guaranteed by the Constitution. And then also the fact that a public company, a company, an airline operator as it were, thought it was not important to blur the aspects of the video if they thought it was important to put it out there, exposing her nudity and further degrading her and making her, subjecting her to public ridicule and dehumanizing her. And we also thought that the airline operators of Nigeria and the airline were quick to announce a lifetime ban without a hearing, and we thought that these were important things that needed to be put out there. That people cannot act as if the dignity of the human person, of their travelers, does not matter, and that they can rush to judgment in a very draconian manner without hearing the other side, without having a dispassionate inquiry and investigation into these activities take place. And then also, something that we would not mention in that statement, which is also should form part of our conversation, is it really offensive for a traveler to put the plane in an airplane mode? Must it be switched off before we claim that it is safe for that passenger to travel with his or her phone? Because there must be a reason for why a mobile phone has an airplane mode. Isn't it sufficient to put it in an airplane mode and be seen to have complied with the instructions of the cabin crew? And also the manner that cabin crew should treat the passengers traveling in them. These will be conversations that will come out of this, whether the charge have been withdrawn or not.
Well, now with the latest developments, the travel ban, lifted, and the reaction to what the musician did, also commuted from 6 months to 1 month, and the one for the lady totally lifted off. Do you think there's still a case, or just some regulations that need to be put in place? And by the way, we spoke with someone, an airline, someone who has been in the field, and was talking to us about the fact that in different climes of the world, it is, for some people, it is you switch off your phone. For some other people, it is you put it on airplane mode. We also spoke with a pilot who said it's a global regulation that must be complied with, and it depends on which climb. But what is important is that whether at takeoff or at landing, the phone must either be on flight mode or switched off, depending on what the jurisdiction says. But with the lifting of ban of these whole commuting that the aviation minister has mentioned, is there a case, in your opinion, or do you think there are just regulations that we need to put in place?
When incidents like this have happened, whether it's that involving Kwam1 or Comfort, they call for public review of how people treat each other, how air hostesses and cabin crew react to certain situations, and there should be established protocol on how a passenger sought to be arrested from an aircraft should be taken off that aircraft. Dragging the person on the floor and down the aircraft stairs would appear not to be one of such ways. I would not want to be the kind of face we present to the world. My understanding that there should be such a protocol that requires that if it is at the point of disembarkation, before like this was, they have been aircraft to take the person out of the aircraft, so that it will not be the duty of the cabin crew physically stopping a passenger from leaving that aircraft. And if you look at the video being shown on screen, that is not the kind of way we want to take a person off an aircraft. And so the conversations will center about cabin crew behavior, how to treat passengers, and also the procedure to ban a person, whether for a time or for life, and also the process for challenging it, and the process for such a hearing to take place. There would appear not to be a clear-cut way of doing this, and it appears to be whimsically applied. In Kwam1 case, which in our view, threatened more the life of the passengers in the plane and the safety of the aircraft. The ban, not life. But for the lady who would appear to be the victim, if one were to believe all the immediate evidence from the whole transaction, from the whole matter, is placed on ban for ban, it has been reversed. But that the pronouncement could be made in the manner and circumstances it was made is what we thought was worrisome, is what we thought there is need for us to talk.
All right, well, I hope we'll be able to get you back, Mr. Sigwe, because one of the things that we've also found out is that since 9/11, since the terrorist attack in the United States of America, the aviation industry, regulations around the aviation industry has completely changed. It's something as simple as raising a hand against a cabin crew is considered a terrorist attack. It was a shock to hear that, and I'm pretty sure that so many people were not aware of that. So sometimes simply disobeying the instructions of a cabin crew is considered a terrorist attack. And I don't even think that to a large extent a good number of people are aware of that. Nor do I think that even some of these cabin crew, the operators of the aircrafts themselves, have this understanding, you know, as big as it is. How much education, in your opinion, do you think is lost for now as far as this matter is concerned?
I think the incident...
Well,
okay, oh, I thought it was not me. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead,
Is
Mr.
the question
Osigwe,
meant for me? Sorry, I lost it there for a while. Is the
Mr.
question
Osigwe,
meant for me?
Yes, it is.
Yes. If I am to judge or to comment based on the video footages I've seen, it shows that there is need to educate our air cabin crew much more. The conduct they exhibit, they are overly sensitivity to so many incidents that they should let slide. Their inability to ignore some things or let some things slide, to be able to de-escalate situations, to try to be too powerful and to show that they can take you off an aircraft or get you arrested. I've traveled a few times and I've heard such threats being issued. If you're not careful, we'll call security for you and you'll be removed from this flight. The tone of language, the approach sometimes, they're unnecessary. There should be a high level of civility, except where the person proves to be such a person that the behavior cannot be condoned in an aircraft or could pose a danger to the safety of the aircraft. So there is need for us to also appreciate that. Sometimes passengers feel that airlines don't treat them well, especially where they have kept you waiting for a long time, nobody apologizes, and people talk to you the way they think that you deserve to be talked to. So there's need for there to be some understanding, for better protocol on how some of these things should be handled, and also for passengers to also understand their legal obligations when flying in this aircraft to ensure that there is safety and orderly conduct in these aircraft. So there is need for training on everybody's side, and everybody has a responsibility to ensure that there is orderly conduct and behavior in this aircraft.
It's cheering that you've balanced it there, because part of what I've also seen is that since 2001, one of the things that's globally checked before you get on an aircraft is what they call behavior detection. In fact, they have behavior detection officers in some climes. Now, given all that has happened and some of the reactions that have been coming back and forth, Mr. Osigwe, it seems that the trust quotient between the governed and the government is so depleted, and this experience that we are having, these incidents, these two incidences, have exacerbated it. How do you think we can reverse this trend? Because the fact that we don't trust the system, the fact that we don't trust the authorities, could also have been part of what we are experiencing, don't you think?
I mean, it will be putting it mildly if I say that the average Nigerian has a distrust of government or persons in authority, be it especially law enforcement agents and politicians. And it even pervades all sectors of the society, even among lawyers. They also have a distrust of their leadership, including myself. And so we all have a duty to ensure that we deliver on electoral promises, that the people say that we are there to serve them, not to lord it over them. And that also that, as we say in Nigeria, the dividends of democracy get to the people. Our inability in many instances to be representative of the people and to have bear true fidelity to our promises and be seen to be there for the people sometimes lead to this. People have become very skeptical of government, and that's why people will readily accept a bribe. I call that a bribe, or an inducement during the election to vote for particular candidates because they believe that that may be the most they can get. So it's not limited to the aviation section. It's a societal thing, it's systemic. And until people see that governments work and do what they promise to do, for so long will it remain.
Okay, I'm pretty sure that Mr. Akande would have a word or two on that as well. But let me take you up on one or two other issues for now. The ICPC has raised issues about the integrity of lawyers, and I'm pretty sure that that is something that is disturbing you. And that's not the first time. You just hinted at the impact of the judiciary on elections, on the political climate and all of that. How does this come across to you, particularly as president of the NBA? Because I know that you must get some of these reports from time to time.
If you could draw my attention to the particular statement by the ICPC, sometimes in Nigeria, it's very common for people to make sweeping statements and use one brush to tie every person. Of course, lawyers have some bad eggs amongst them, but that does not represent the large majority of lawyers. And like most Nigerians, there are many bad eggs amongst us whom we need to discipline and weed out to engender confidence in the people. And we are working with all relevant agencies, FIU, EFCC, ICPC, to see the best we can do to ensure that there is integrity in our profession and that lawyers are part of the global fight against money laundering, against terrorism financing, and other financial crimes. But it would be taking it too far to suggest that lawyers are behind it or lawyers are responsible for it. We know that some lawyers may have wrongly used their professional knowledge and experience to aid some of these activities. But that does not represent the face of the legal profession in Nigeria. And we have a big battle to fight in Nigeria to rid our society of corruption, financial crimes, economic crimes, and other criminalities that affect people's perception of Nigeria. We need to all join hands in this. We should go beyond blaming people, name-calling, and get to the root causes of these problems and tackle them with every hand being on deck to ensure that we build a kind of society we'll be proud of, that other persons would want to deal with or do business and or even live in or go for holiday.
The chairman of the ICPC, Dr. Aliyu, actually just spoke about that when he received the chairman of one of your branches, the Gwagwalada branch. But he was actually, in a way, talking about mentoring or mentorship of younger lawyers who begin their career, that they should begin their career under the guidance of senior lawyers who possess unquestionable integrity over time. I don't know if you can speak to that, whether or not there is that mentoring system.
So, I mean, that's a sound advice. You want to be mentored by a person who will be a shining example. I like to tell a story of a man who was seated quietly in a train with a small child, and both of them were reading a book, while some other children made the loud noises. And upon being questioned by another parent on how he was able to do that, and he said, if you want to get a child to do something, you have to do it and yourself. The children learn to do things by watching. So it is with the legal profession. If you work with a lawyer who has integrity, who works with the highest ethical standards, and does work that meets international best practices, you're most likely going to be like him, because he leads by example. Good comedy, they say, bad comedy, they say, corrupt good morals. So if you're a good person and you work with a bad person, and you continue to work with that person, you may, if care is not taken, come to take bad behavior as being an acceptable norm, and you may be corrupted by the same. So his advice is very sound. For young lawyers, you need to bring them up the way they should go. Tell them the right thing. Tell them the imperativeness of complying with the rules of professional conduct. That is the only way they will turn out to be good lawyers and be able to do that which is expected of lawyers and not being a tool in the hands of clients or criminals to do the wrong things that portray the legal profession in a bad light.
Well, there's also that, now that you speak about that, there are some ways in which people have questioned the independence of the judiciary, be it at the federal or state level, particularly at the state levels, where the executive arm of government, I wouldn't want to say a governor, where the executive arm of government provides certain things for the judiciary, surreptitiously expecting them to return the favor one way or the other. And in fact, in some cases, there are those who have said that because one individual is building courts or facilitating some activities for the judiciary in a particular environment or in a state, that the fellow is in control of the judiciary. Is that something that is concerning for the NBA? Is this something that is troubling?
It is concerning to us that the governors will do things for the judiciary as if they were doing them a favor. And oftentimes it's annoying since some governors talk about how, oh, I give cars to my judges, or even invite the judges and do a public presentation of vehicles or some other material to the judiciary, we believe it's demeaning and ought not to be. The judiciary should be an independent, though coordinating part of a government, but should not be demeaned or reduced to such a point where they should be given handouts as if a favor was being done to them. There's no way you can convince any person that the judiciary that finds itself in such a situation is independent. Never. Even if it is really independent, the perception will always be that they are the beck and call of the executive, and the executive will always bend them to their will, and they always do things that please the executive. Otherwise, those handouts will cease. Our position remains that if there's money, if there's anything needed by the judiciary, be it vehicles, courtrooms, and other infrastructural needs, they should be budgeted for in the judiciary budget, and the judiciary should be allowed to execute them. And nobody should give us the excuse that the judiciary is not able to do them, that unless you do it for them, the money will be embezzled. They are not trained in this. That's why they have a bureaucracy. That's why they have professionals employed in the judiciary to handle these things. The executive should not emasculate the judiciary, reduce them to a whipping boy or to begging. It's a beggarly situation where you see a chief judge continually visiting the office of the governor to beg that certain releases be made to them, that certain things be done to them. It demeans the judiciary, it robs it of its independence, and makes it difficult for the people to trust that such a judiciary can be independent. And happily, it is not so at the federal level, and we think the states should, as a matter of urgency, if they haven't done that, any state that hasn't done that should do so, because justice is rooted in confidence. And any day that confidence is eroded or is seen to be gone, the people's confidence in the judiciary or its ability to do justice will forever be eroded.
So let me ask you pointedly, Mr. Osigwe, is the Nigerian judiciary independent, be it at the federal level or at the state level?
I've talked about the federal level. If you talk about financial autonomy, then to an extent we will say yes, it is independent at the federal level. At the state level, the answer would be a resounding no for majority of the states. Most chief judges still go to the governor for approvals, even for money for medical treatment, for foreign travels, or for training. It shouldn't be so. I mean, there may not be any publicly available evidence that the executive tries to put pressure or coerce the judiciary to give judgment. But to the extent you try to, any executive that tries to control the purse strings of the judiciary, to the extent that happens in any state, to that extent can one body say that such a judiciary is not independent, no matter the story you tell.
Just a quick one, and before we take a break, and then I'm pretty sure Kela would also want to be a part of this conversation. You recently took on the police concerning the probe of the Anambra State Attorney General. There are those who would say, on the one hand, the police has its job to do, as because of the IGP's police monitoring unit, because they invited him and released him on bail and all. For you, what are the issues? Is this part of the challenge to the independence of the judiciary, in your opinion?
Well, the Attorney General's office does not form part of the judiciary, but part of the administration of justice system. And the Attorney General of the state and that of the Federation have been given powers to take over, continue or discontinue proceedings. And the facts of the matter in Anambra would appear to suggest that the Attorney General of Anambra State or the Minister of the entered a nolle prosequi or a withdrawal of a pending criminal charge. And then the police alleged that the process that led to that, there was forgery contained in that process. And mind you, the Attorney General never complained to the police that her document anything was forged. And the police thought that it was a matter for investigation. And we felt that this was an attempt and an overreach by the police, because even the courts have consistently held that even the judiciary cannot question the reason, the correctness or otherwise of a decision by an Attorney General to discontinue a case. So if the court cannot question it, then who is the police to investigate it or purport to have power to investigate it? That decision may not be a legally sound one. It may not be a politically sound one, but it is for the Attorney General's employer, the governor, to determine whether the Attorney General still meets the need for why he appointed him or her. It's not for the police to investigate. It's an overreach. The police has no such constitutional power, and they cannot hide under the power to investigate crime. to try to emasculate the exercise of constitutional power by an attorney general. And for us, that is an overreach. That is a territory that if the police is allowed to enter into, tomorrow the police will also invite a judge or a judicial officer for giving judgment, even where there is no basis for such an inquiry. And we should not encourage it. And we condemned it, and it should never happen, and should not be encouraged, and should not even be thought of.
All right. Well, just give us a moment or two, Mr. Sigwe. We'll take a few moments to take some messages, and then my colleague in Abuja, Kela, would like to engage you. Stay with us.
I mean, Mr. Afam, there isn't enough time for us to have the conversations that we need to have, Mr. Afam. Just to get your closing remarks as we wrap up with you, your closing remarks on a lot of the issues that have been raised. You know, we're looking at the integrity of lawyers, also looking at the River State money, that 300 million that that caused a bit of a ruckus between the River State sole administrator and the NBA. If you can give us an update on that one before we wrap up.
On that, we got sponsorship from River State, and that was it. And I don't think there's any more controversy surrounding that. The conference was moved for River State, and the money was not for any hosting rights. And I thought we have moved beyond that point. And it's interesting to know that our conference commences in Enugu from next week, Friday, August 22nd, till the 29th of August. And we hope that conversations that will address so many issues besetting Nigeria will be discussed there, ranging from security to the economy, and to self-economic sufficiency and independence and so many other things.
Mr. Afam, was it 300 million? Was it refunded?
I said I thought we were beyond that.
because that's the statement that we're getting from their side, is that they were asked for a refund of the money. I wanted to find out from you if that refund was made.
And I said I thought we were beyond that. We were giving money for sponsorship, and that was it. Nobody bought anything that we couldn't deliver. So I didn't think that conversation is an ongoing one.
All right, well, we have to thank you so much, Mr. Afam Osigwe, the president of the Nigerian Bar Association, for being with us this morning. Thanks again for speaking with us. Mr. Laolu, you know that particular story. Yeah. That particular story from River State, because what we heard from the sole administrator's side is we've asked for a refund of money, but he says this is a conversation that shouldn't be flogged, so to speak. Yeah. He said that the money was meant to be a sponsorship. Yes. For the conference, you know. But Mr. Afam Osigwe is a brilliant lawyer, and I respect him very, very much. But that money is a blight on the NBA, you know, and it would have been more decent to return the money. What is the sponsorship of River State doing when the conference is out of River State? You know, so and I see that it's not comfortable to talk about it, which is his right. But, you know, it's important to talk to our lawyers that we have a lot of lawyers in Nigeria who will give the 300 million naira very easily and secure the reputation of NBA. If somebody gave you a gift because you were going to host the event in their state, or call it sponsorship, now you have moved the event away. What is the state doing? Giving you a sponsorship. You should return the money. That is what decency demands. And I hope that one day NBA will correct itself on this error. All right, let's move on now to a few other things that we said we were going to talk about. This jailbreak in Kebbi, in the midst of a region where we're not quite sure how the insecurity situation is being handled properly. We do hear from the military. Of course, in all the while that we've been talking about value jet and Ibom Air and all of that, there have been military campaigns going on. Right. And we saw that there was even one that backfired on the terrorists a few days ago. So let's talk a little bit about this prison break and what can be done about it. Well, you know, it's a very simple thing at the level of talking about it. We need to secure the prisons, you know, much more than we have done, you know, and we must acknowledge that there have been quite a few, you know, improvements, you know, by the minister and the authorities in charge. But it just tells us that we haven't done enough to prevent. I mean, it's a very something that we should all be very afraid of, that, you know, prisoners have the potential and becoming quite often to get out of jail,
you know, by just blasting their way out, is something that should worry us. And I imagine that it is worrying us.
Yes.
We've not done enough. It's as simple as that. There are still things that we need to do. The people in charge ought to know exactly what it is, you know, and maybe they need to have a conversation with us openly, just so we understand what has been done and what is left to be done, which they intend to do. What we need to hear from government is to say that, look, this is an ongoing problem. This is the roadmap that we have. This is how far we have gone, and this is where we're going to head. These are the things that we are not able to do now, which we will do in the future. We need to have confidence that when somebody is in prison for doing wrong and they are serving time, that they will be there, you know, and serve the time, you know, pay their dues to society before they get out. You know, because it's dangerous if somebody that committed murder finds his way out there and you don't know what is happening. It is a question of national security, and I hope that the people responsible in government, they understand what has to happen.
Let's talk a little bit about politics. We'll start with Kebbi State, the ADC.
Right.
Rattled. Well, these are teething problems, at least from the commentary we're seeing online about this situation. You know, the suspension of people who are in the camp of one of Mr. Malami, you know, and then of course we're watching and seeing how the ADC is trying to get itself together as it prepares for this grand taking over of government that they said they are going to do in 2027. Do they have a chance? It does feel like the narrative about them is beginning to change. People are beginning to understand where they're coming from, and then let's talk about Goodluck Jonathan joining the race. People are saying maybe he should join the ADC and maybe give them the oomph that they would need to be able to wrestle power away from the APC. What do you make of that whole situation? Yeah,
I think, you know, and this is my immediate guess. I think Nigerians are beginning to figure out, you know, the games that our political elites play. And I'm praying that this is exactly what is happening. Yeah. And to know that, yes, we do need opposition, especially, you know, at a time like this when you have an APC that is quite very, you know, pompous. You know, the party has become very pompous. You know, not that it's a bad thing in politics. You got to show your strength. You know, it's part of the game. But if you don't have an opposition, you know, power corrupts absolutely, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So we do need a viral opposition to put the ruling party in check. That said, I don't think that it's going to be this ADC. And all the things that we are seeing is beginning to show us that, you know, I mean, look, Peter Obi hasn't joined ADC. Atiku Abubakar hasn't really joined ADC. And then at local levels, we're seeing these issues. And then you are seeing all these contestations, you know, so, and then you hearing people now talking about Jonathan going to PDP. Even Peter Obi, you know, doesn't seem to be, you know, looking towards the direction of ADC. There's really nothing to cheer beyond the fact that you have a group of people who can call out APC, which is a good thing. It's early. Good thing. It's early. We have 2 more years. Yeah, we have 2 more years. There's all time. ADC can do is to just keep calling out, you know, APC and put some fear of God in them. That is good. But whether they will be able to actually wrestle power from APC the way they are going now, I'm completely, you know, I have no expectations about that. PDP might be resurrecting if they have the common sense to bring in Jonathan, to bring in Peter Obi. You know, it's going to, they can get a momentum from that. The APC says if Jonathan joins this race, he would, his reputation will be solid. You know, he has built a reputation as I mean, if he joins the PDP, if he joins the race at all, whatever party, whether it's the ADC or the APC or the PDP, what we're hearing from the APC is he should stay out of it, because if he gets into this race, that reputation that he's built over the years will be solid. That is what you have to say. I mean, Kayla, of course, they're not going to say that, okay, this guy's going to... But let me tell you, let's be very frank about it. If you have a race that is between President Tinubu and President Goodluck Jonathan, wow, that is going to be a race. That's a race. That's going to be a race. Okay. Yes, of course, we can begin to talk about the candidates and other stuff, but that is going to be a real contest indeed, and it will advance Nigeria's democracy.
Mr. Laola Akande, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
For your insights this morning, Laola Akande, former presidential aide and presenter of Inside Sources.
Thank you so much.
Right here on Channels Television. All right, well, that is Sunrise Daily this morning. Thank you for the opportunity of being a part of your day. Have a wonderful one ahead. I'm Kayla Megwa. See you soon.
Business Morning is at the top of the hour. I'm Akande. Enjoy the rest of your day.